Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
I usually do my regular Bible study in the New King James Version, since that's pretty close to how my mind works. I grew up with the way King James phrased it, but I would suggest that someone new to the Bible would use a version that more clearly aligns with today's vernacular in order to keep wording from interfering with understanding. However, to do a deep dive into any verse, it's good to look at how several versions word things. Yesterday we talked about pursuing holiness, since "Be holy for I am holy" is a command from God. In his first letter, Peter gave some practical ways we can pursue holiness. And I love how the New King James puts it. Therefore, gird up the loins of your mind. Now that's a colorful turn of phrase we don't hear very much anymore. Other versions interpret it instead of translate it. They say, think clearly, with minds that are alert. Prepare your minds for action. As an interpreter for the deaf, I understand that you have to take a saying, figure out what it means, and then make it understandable to the audience. From that perspective, I would choose the way the New American Standard Bible puts it. Prepare your minds for action. But I love the picture "gird up the loins of your mind" brings. This day and age, we rarely, if ever, gird up our loins. We don't need to. We have pants. But in Bible times, long flowing robes would get in the way. So if they were about to embark on a journey or do some work or run a race or fight a battle, they would gird up their loins, which means they would gather the loose garments and bind them around their waist with a belt so that they could move freely. The closest thing I can think of is maybe rolling up our sleeves or changing out our heels for tennis shoes. So what does it mean to gird up the loins of your mind? How can we be prepared as this pictures? How can we be fully engaged and ready as we pursue holiness? We need to be focused on the goal. Our goal is obedience to Christ. For the first 10 years of my Christian life, I knew a relationship with God was more than just going to church and doing churchy things. But I figured I'd eventually grow into it, so I more or less rode down the lazy river in my spiritual inner tube. But that's the opposite of what Peter's suggesting here. After all, if we drift down the lazy river, what are we going to do when we hit the rapids? Yet I still find myself drifting along sometimes, not wanting to put forth the effort. So I have to remind myself, gird up the loins of your mind. Be ready in season and out of season, as Paul told Timothy. One main way I've found to gird up the loins of my mind is to saturate myself in God's Word, which is closely linked to prayer, keeping in close contact with God, studying His Word, talking with Him about it, observing, and putting things I learn into practice. This trains my mind to think His way, not mine. Another way for us to gird up the loins of our mind is to disengage with anything that would hold us back or hinder us from serving God and being ready. Maybe that's a little habit or an addiction, like watching too much TV, playing too many computer games, wasting time that could be spent with the Lord. What do our minds think that aren't godly thoughts? How could we redirect that? Take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. We may need to disengage from a toxic relationship that's holding us back spiritually and emotionally. Physically, it may mean shedding some weight to improve our overall health and being ready to serve the Lord when He calls. What is it for you? How can you gird up the loins of your mind and pursue holiness in your life?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you can find in the description below. Thank you for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.